Hello everybody, in this video we're going to be taking a look at Typhoon GAEMI as it's going to be making major impacts at Taiwan. So this is Typhoon GAEMI here on the satellite imagery, and just an impressive look at this storm as this has officially become a typhoon as of the 8 p.m. update Eastern time. So there it is, GAEMI here, and I'm going to pause it as we continue, and let's just update it, make sure we got the latest frames here on this storm. Um, ooh, Okay, so there's the latest frame here, the latest exact frame, and I see, the storm that I've been looking at here, it has been under some wind shear, and I think some of the dry air and wind shear has stopped its intensity a bit ago, but there are now pretty good signs that Typhoon Gami is probably going to become a major hurricane and maybe even rapidly strengthen into a major typhoon. How do I see that? All right. So, there it is. There is the low pressure. Right now, we all think that the low pressure is somewhere in this area. Why do I say that? Because we got nice banding features coming into the big area of convection. And what I've noticed is the low pressure has been on the northern side of this, where the wind shear kept moving the cloud tops away from the low pressure, because we had some wind shear through the northern side of the storm and of the convection. So it was a little bit of exposed, but not exposed. But today is restructure into the center. All right. One thing you could tell that is because now we have a whole bunch of deep thunderstorm convection on the northeastern side and southeastern side, even way eastern side. I mean, even the northern side now really filling up with convection. And what I seeing too is these thunderstorms here that were being blown like this and not really wrapping. In the last few hours, I've noticed it that the wind shear has calmed down, and it's now more of it's moving in the right direction if you want to see that nice outflow boundaries and the inflow of this system. And I'm starting to see some more convection, definitely on the more northern side, coming in around in this storm in the low pressure. This tells me that the structure today has really begun to define itself, and even earlier we're starting to see signs of an eye wall, or quite a few eye walls. So this storm is expected to slam Taiwan in the next coming days, and we're gonna have to be careful because we take a huge look at this. And actually, that was not the last frame, but there it is. Still nothing really new. Still that deep thunderstorm convection. There's that low pressure here. um but if we take a look at the satellite imagery of this is the longer view. So let's take a look at the clouds on this. It's not high definition because it's nighttime right now in that part of the world, but we take a look and boom. What's very impressive to me is the way this storm is looking. There is still wind shear. There is still wind shear getting blowing these thunderstorms a little bit off center with the mid level and low level center. So that's going to have to continue to fix itself before it can rapidly intensify and even get a eye wall there. So true color now, this is a further out view of where it's heading. Right now it's kind of heading northwest to maybe even more north. But like I said, there is still pretty healthy environment besides of the wind shear to the north. You could definitely tell that near the Taiwan area. The storm is expected to do something like this and make landfall like that But what we see in the pathway, the wind shear over here in this part has died down in the last few hours. How can we tell? Because if we look at this, we don't see as much clouds moving to the east than we see near Taiwan with this upper level troughing. So out ahead of it, there is still wind shear, but the environment right now where it is around, um, it's in a better, healthier environment than earlier today. All right. So where's the real big wind shear? I would say is generally up here. That you could tell that because the cloud top's just getting blown completely. Probably 30, 40 knots a shear. That could really destroy a storm. But we have good outflow boundaries on pretty much all quadrants, even this side. Not as well defined in northern, but the western, eastern, southern. Not good outflow boundaries on the northwestern. All right, not good. But I do think that GAEMI is going to intensify into a very powerful typhoon, maybe even a major typhoon. But we can see this on the radar here in Taiwan, where this is actually another radar of another tropical storm here. Pretty pretty nice here, honestly. You see the circulation here. Definitely a tropical storm with the inflow and all that. About to actually make a landfall. But we take a look at Taiwan. These are the thunderstorms. They're really on the coast, not really going into Taiwan. Reason is because we have wind shear once again. And you can tell that on radar that we got these thunderstorms moving westward. So that's gonna keep the development um at a ceiling, then just absolutely becoming a monster hurricane. So we're gonna take a look at another satellite and see if there is lightning. Because once you start seeing lightning around an eye wall, then you know the rapid intensification is beginning. So there hasn't been too much lightning today within GAMI, Typhoon GAMI. So let's just move this to another region. Okay, so now on weather.nerds, it's officially a typhoon. But there it is. There has not been too much lightning on these thunderstorms. So that tells me, yes, it's strengthening, but it hasn't rapidly strengthened yet. All right. So we take a look at this view and a very interesting view. So it's officially, as of the 2 p.m. update over here, it's an 80-mile-an-hour storm. And weirdly, it has jogged. What I'm seeing is a jog to the southern. So once again, like I said, that northern area when we had severe tropical storm, that 70-mile-an-hour tropical storm, we had a replacement of a new area of center, that low level center, more towards the west. And there it is now. We're gonna have to see. And now the latest track as of 2 p.m. has way more of a landfall now on Taiwan, a direct landfall. So much more in the way of weakening as it continues. As it's on here, it's 100 miles an hour. They do now forecast 110 miles an hour. So just a mile away from a major typhoon into Taiwan. So done speaking about the radar and all, we're going to take a look at some of the models and see the rainfall totals. All right. So there is GAMI once again right here as a 974, pretty close to it. I think a 977 or 974, something like that. So GFS pretty right as a 2 p.m. update. Expected to continue strengthening, move a bit north. That is expected, and then move right back to the east. The West, and it will continue to intensify, and it will potentially have a chance to rapidly intensify into a major typhoon. And the GFS actually is a typhoon, pretty much a category strong 3, or even a 4 and closing in on a 5 as it makes landfall in northern Taiwan here as a 9:45. That's potentially a category 4 or a strong 4 entering a potentially 5. So we're going to have to be careful. The threshold of this storm could really intensify very quick, but that will be a slow mover through the islands, go back out in the water, stays a major typhoon, and then makes landfall in China. So, right where all that is, then weaken and then just move north and become just a random low. But then we do see another area that tries and develops right into Taiwan, maybe a strong tropical storm, and then that will make landfall once again in China, same areas. But going on forward with that, I don't see any major typhoons or anything. So once GAEMI's done, I do think the break of the tropics in the Western Pacific will relax. So we take a look at the rainfall, and actually, no. I didn't mean to click on this right now, but I guess we're going to take a look. Is it drier? So, like I said, there is probably some dry air entering on the northern side, and especially with that wind shear, that is keeping GAEMI from becoming a major typhoon quicker. But how quickly does the environment change will depend. But it does say that the moisture bubble will get way better and it will really consolidate into a major typhoon, very slow moving. And we see at this point no really wind shear or dry air. So I do think this will have a easier time tomorrow of developing. And we take a look at the rainfall, very worrying for Taiwan and China. I mean, in Taiwan, we see, we see about up to 500 milliliters of rain. That's about 12 to 24 inches, 1 to 2 feet, maybe even more of rain. And if we take a look at the winds here, or let's take a look at the steering, because I already clicked on it, is we got kind of higher pressures to the west of it. So so the stronger the western is, the more southern, I keep getting it mixed up. The more east, west that high pressure is over here, we'll move it more east, all right, into maybe southern Taiwan. That could become a trend, but the trend's been pretty much northern Taiwan. So we're gonna have to be careful because we do not need it getting into these northern waters, miss Taiwan, because then it will have more time to strengthen before making landfall. Significant wave heights with it. You're looking at over 32 feet into China and Taiwan, so major surf. So do not go surfing. Set in stone. The winds on this will be absolutely catastrophic. It will be a long duration, major hurricane force winds, up to wind gusts up to about 130 miles an hour. So let's take a look at some of the hurricane models in this. And there it is. It becomes, according to the HERF. HERF has done good in storms, but I don't think it's going to do this one right. All right. Could it? Yes. Because as of 2 p.m., 983. Right now it's actually 970. So it could. But it has becoming a major typhoon and even a category 5 super typhoon. Pretty much a 927 making landfall in Taiwan, northern Taiwan. Makes landfall, stays a major typhoon, trying to strengthen a little bit before slamming China here on this. So we take a look at the wind gust here, or the winds, and look at that. Major typhoon. I mean, we got 140 to 150 knots, you guys. It's 160 miles an hour. So definitely a major typhoon ahead for these islands, and we're going to have to really watch. Nothing else. Euro does have gaming. So we're going to look at the Euro, then the satellite, and then that's probably going to wrap it up with this update. Euro has it just a weaker storm definitely becomes a major one, but slow moving, major issues. All right, major issues. So quickly, I actually want to take a look at the parents because I'm wondering if they do have wind shear. So I want to look at the HERF on the wind shear category of this. So we take, there it is. Shockingly, it says there's no really wind shear. There's definitely some wind shear, but on the northern side, but that does change because then, oh yeah, there is wind shear. Like I said, never mind, there is wind shear. I was reading it wrong. You could tell. So there is the outflow here on the southern side. Winds moving like this, and we're kind of supposed to be seeing upper level winds like this. We're seeing them like this come across of GAEMI on the northern side, like I said, near Taiwan. But that's probably why GAEMI hasn't really rapidly intensified. But according to the hurricane model, looking into later on tonight, in my area, the environment will become more conducive. The wind shear really dies off, and now we're seeing more of a cyclonic flow like this. So we're seeing better rotation within the storm. Now we're not seeing any. I mean, that actually looks a lot better looking into later tonight. So the wind shear is dying. Do expect that. And then we take a look at this. And I mean, even tomorrow, 30 hours from now, this is like tomorrow, even Wednesday. This doesn't make impact into like Wednesday. So this is still 3 days out from making landfall in Taiwan, and we're already seeing some bands. But the environment will come very conducive for this system. We're gonna have to be very careful on what happens. All right. Vorticity on it. There it is. Satellite imagery, you guys. There is the potential satellite maybe forming up an eye or so into Taiwan and then makes landfall, and then it will die once it makes landfall in China. So let me stop yapping about this. Like I said, the main thing is going to be the wind, rain. We're going to have an update later today. We're probably going to have two updates until this is completely gone because there is nothing really to talk about in the Atlantic right now. So in this short period, I was like, you know what? There's another major typhoon. A lot of people don't really track these typhoons, so why not have some fun and track these typhoons with you guys in the quiet period in the Atlantic? But there it is, the latest mesoscale, and there is still one. There's still wind shear. Because even looking at this, you can tell on the northern side there's still wind shear pressing down on the storm. But we're gonna have to watch. So structure looking better and better. We're gonna have to see later tonight on GAEMI, and we're gonna have to watch. But that's gonna wrap it up. See you guys later tonight and tomorrow on Typhoon GAEMI.